about a minute, and he's got control of the meeting. He's the host while he does that. Who haven't I spoken to? Edmund. Edmund, why are you in the Zoom basic class? I suppose you can't unmute yourself now while he's host. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
No, you're right. I'm saying is you're as the host have muted everybody.
Yeah.
How you doing, Michael?
Okay. Uma?
I joined the Zoom Basics because I just need to know a little more information about Zooming, backgrounds and different things, but I understand it's basics. So if you really want to know something and understand it, you start from the beginning, not in the middle.
Okay. Right. Good point. Good point. Yeah, what we do today is go through really the basics for people that are introducing themselves to Zoom. Okay, there are a number of advanced Zoom classes that you might want to attend also after this one, and I do one called Tips and Tricks, Zoom Tips and Tricks, in about 2 days' time, and that's a far more advanced course. But then Donna and others also do advanced courses on Zoom. So, yeah, you might well want to do the advanced course after this particular course as well. I
look forward to it. Usually I do a lot of Zoom meetings, but usually my girlfriend helps set me up for them. So she's out of town, so I got to do some things myself now.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen because we're going to go through this process on slides, and I will also take you onto the zoom.us site as well, just to show you where you would open an account and where you would change your settings and so forth. All right. And then I'll take any questions throughout the class. There might be something that you are just on that point would like to know a little bit more. Feel free. You can also, Kim is here to support us, as I mentioned earlier, and you can communicate directly with Kim as our technical assistant in this class. So you can see her there in the attendance list. So, right, let's... Right. Can you see my slides? Nod your head or say yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. So let's move slowly through Zoom basics. Okay. Right. As is customary, the guide introduces himself. My name is Michael Plumstead, as you can see on the screen. And the reason my time is 7 a.m. is that I live in Perth, Western Australia. Okay. And basically, I'm an author, researcher, and writer, and I love business. Do all sorts of things historically in business. Love gardening, love microgreening. In fact, I do a class on microgreening as well. And I love doing the Get Set Up classes as well. Okay. And then some of you I see when I looked at the bookings are very new, Get Set Up as well. And it's really an absolutely marvelous company to work with and work for. And you know, it's seniors working with seniors. And if you wanted to give a class, if you're an expert in something, then you could also do that. Okay, so we just do wonderful things for each other. And so Get Set Up is really where we all want to stay. Okay, and we want to refer other people to this as well. Yeah, as you've already heard, we record every class, and this class is also being live streamed as well. So people can join the live streaming and watch the class as well. They can't participate like you can in the class. And also finally, Get Set Up is not paid. to promote any products whatsoever. Okay, so if I do mention a product in passing, there's no kickback on that aspect. Then from the agenda, you can see we're going to go through all the basics, okay, to make sure that everybody is now together as they move forward, becoming a little bit more proficient at using Zoom, because all Get Set Up classes use Zoom, but also you're going to want to be a host at some stage in order to host meetings yourself, make contact with your friends and your family, and have family gatherings. And there's a lot of reasons why you as an individual would want to host your own meetings. So you need to know some of the basics. So first of all, how do you join a meeting? Okay. Clearly, you can see from the slide that I'm showing you now, this is an invitation, a random invitation that was sent to me. I just took a photo of it, and the invitation content is irrelevant at the moment because it's personal to me. But what I want to show you is where the arrow is pointing at this URL. That is a link that Zoom creates whenever you start a new meeting. Okay, it has a unique URL. You, with an account in Zoom, have a unique room that has a unique number. Okay, and you will see below this URL here a meeting ID. That's the unique room number. That is your unique room number, whatever the number happens to be. Okay, and that's you can give that out to people who want to join a meeting, and we'll talk about that in a moment in the class. And you may be using a password, or you may not be using a password. But if you are, the password obviously is unique to you, and you would share that as well with people you want to bring into your meetings. And then you'll see, going back to the URL here, you will see a number here that starts 7248. That's your room number. If you look below, there, that room. So it's built into the invitation, the room number. And then the password is coded into that URL as well. So I'm going to be referring back to this during the class. So this is the invitation that you have received to join a meeting, or anybody has received to join a meeting. Okay. Once you click on it, then you're going to be given this particular screen comes up, and you can immediately just click join a meeting. Or if you have an account with Zoom, then you sign in. All it wants is your email address and password, and then it comes back to the screen, and you click join a meeting. Now, often you will be put into a waiting room if you are early. Okay, depends on the host's settings. The host can set there's a waiting room, or they can not have a waiting room. So while you're in the waiting room, you might arrive 10 minutes early, and you've gone off to put the kettle on and made yourself a cup of tea. Well, coffee, I guess, if you're in North America. But be that as it may, you can do something while you are waiting. You can click below, test your audio. Now, I recommend you do that. And once you've clicked on it, a screen like this comes up. There are other aspects on the left, which I did not photograph because I wanted to hone in on this particular aspect of the screen that comes up. You can test your microphone. So by clicking test mic, okay, and then singing a song to yourself, or counting, or making a noise, you will find the input coming in there. And you will see that if it goes off to the right, it's far too loud. and the other way around as well. And you can adjust it manually here, but I strongly recommend that you just tick automatically adjust volume, then Zoom adjust it, because you don't listen to yourself. You're talking to the microphone, everybody else has to listen. So let Zoom do the automatic. And below that, the test speaker, now this is where you're going to be listening. You click test speaker and Zoom will play some sounds for you, and you look at the output, and now you adjust this manually so that it's comfortable for you to hear, whether you've got headphones on or speakers and so forth. So this, you can do all this while you're waiting for the host to let you into the room. And then you come and you've now, the host is going to let you in, and you would now go automatically into the room. Okay, but there's another way. You can also join just with the meeting room number. If somebody sends you that ID, remember I showed you in the invitation, and you could click here and you would then come up with a screen like this that's up now, which is join the meeting. Okay, and you would then put the meeting room number in there. Okay, you would do this, particularly if you are regular and casual with people with meetings. I have casual meetings regularly, and then they just come with the meeting room number and let people in. And you then put your name in below there. If it was password protected, the password would go there. Okay, and then having filled that out, you click join. Now, before we go into a meeting room, I want to show you here on the left in this dark blue is schedule. Now, as a host, you can schedule meetings in advance, and these come in very handy. You click on schedule, and then this screen comes up, is schedule a meeting. Now, as hosts, I'm sure you're going to be scheduling, but there's certain things on the scheduling that Zoom just defaults to. Okay, so it's not always essential. If you're unsure about what to tick and what not to tick, it will default to the appropriate setting. But you need to have a topic name. So you're going to send a schedule to somebody about a meeting that's coming up. You don't want to put in there what you see there, Michael Plumstead Zoom meeting, unless it's a regular meeting every week and everybody you send in the invitation to knows that this is their meeting. Okay. Otherwise, if it's an ad hoc type of meeting, then put there, this is Laura's baking class. Okay, and then they understand what they've received. Okay. Edmund's going to be talking about restoration of furniture, and so you would then, the people receiving it would understand what this meeting's about. Okay, because as you know, there's a lot of spam around, and so you need to distinguish yourself very clearly with an invitation. And so then you click this drop-down menu and start. It'll give you a date, an actual day that it's starting. And on the right, you click the drop-down menu, the drop-down arrow, and you click the time. So the duration is, if you've got a free version of Zoom, then you can talk one-on-one with somebody for as long as you like. But if there are 3 of you in the class, okay, then you can only talk for 40 minutes. Okay, so you might have a whole lot of children, like I have, and then they all come on once. You need to have the paid version and then you can talk for as long as you like. But one-on-one, you can talk for as long as you like. So the duration here is actually irrelevant if it's a one-on-one, but if it's going to be, and you've got a free version, going to be a group of people, then just put in 40 minutes, and the people know receiving this, that's how long. Or maybe it's only going to be a 10-minute meeting, then you can put that in. If it's going to be a recurring meeting, every day, every week, every month, you can then tick that, and some other drop-down menus come in, you fill in the relevant information. Then don't forget on the right here to fill in your time zone. As you can see, just in this class alone, we've got a tremendous array of different time zones just in this class. So it's important, because once that goes into a calendar, depending what calendar you use, it will translate the time zone to your time zone. Okay, and okay, so the meeting ID, if you're on a free version, will default to your personal meeting ID, and I would just leave it at that. In the advanced classes, we talk about some of these other settings, even the security settings. Just leave them to what they default to. Okay? And but you can introduce a waiting room if you feel that's important. Okay, but you can also introduce it while you're in setting up your class as well. So videos, again, when you're a beginner, just let it default to host. Okay, if you're going to have participants sharing things, you can also then click on the participants. So the host and the participants can share videos, but I would click it on off. It defaults to off, and let it stay there, because you don't want to have yourself in a bit of a mess, knowing, oh my goodness, what's going on? Who's sharing what? Why? It's fine when you're advanced and you're working with it. You're then mature enough within Zoom to be able to control that. And the same with the audio. It defaults to telephone and computer audio. Allow it to just stay there. Then click the calendar that you use. Okay. And if you don't have any calendar, I would strongly recommend Google Calendar. It's free, and it's really very, very handy. It reminds you of meetings, and you can be reminded a day before, an hour before, and so forth. And there are other aspects that are linked to that as well, including maybe notes that you've got in order to use in the meeting, and they linked to the Google Calendar. So it becomes quite interesting. Then below this, there's an advanced screen as well, and you'll be able to look at this. But being a beginner, I would just leave the advanced alone. Okay. You can see it's logical what is said here. If you want people to join beforehand, before you do, well, that's fine. Okay. And then if you want the meeting always automatically recorded, you can have a setting there that will record the meeting. All right, so I think I'm going to just stop there and check if there are any questions from receiving an invitation, from setting up a schedule, and joining a meeting. Any questions that are in your mind now? And Kim, I'm not sure, have you got anything?
No, there aren't any questions on the chat. So everyone, if you have questions for Michael, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand before you unmute yourself. Okay, thank you.
That's super. Thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated, Kim. And Kim doesn't live in Australia, but she's on the same time zone as me. So now that's a question. You got to find out where she lives, okay? But we're not going to stop there now. We're going to continue seeing there are no questions. Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry, Michael. Shirley has raised her hand, so maybe she has a question.
Yes, Shirley, thank you, Kim.
Just a suggestion, instead of going that route of putting in your the meeting ID number, if you just double click on that URL, it'll take you right in.
Yes, it will. Okay.
Yeah.
It absolutely will. The invitation will take you straight into the room. The reason that you would probably use just the meeting room number is a different service where people are casual about. They just send you the room number, or they know your room number and say, "Come join a meeting now." You know, and so you would come in and put that meeting in. But thank you for pointing that out. That's most appreciated.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we send that invitation to another person and they use it also?
Yeah.
You can forward it to a friend and they could get in on it.
Yes, correct. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, if one of the problems with that is forwarding to a friend is, I mean, we all do it. Okay. And, but if that somehow gets taken out of context and lands up in the wrong hands, then that means you could have a stranger also coming into your meeting. Okay.
No, I understand that, but I know some invitations you can't forward them. That when you forward them, it's distorted, so it can't be used by a second person.
Oh, okay. Okay. I understand. Thanks for sharing that. Any other questions? All right. Now we are going to host a meeting. We're going to join not going to join anymore. We have covered joining. As you can see on your screen, we've covered scheduling. And now whenever, okay. It's just some background noise there, Kim, from somebody. If you click on new meeting, that means it's not a meeting just because you're in Zoom for the first time. This is now you are going to host. This is what you click on when you are going to host a meeting. Okay. It's got the new is irrelevant. Okay, you are going to host a meeting, and it could be the 100th time you're hosting a meeting. You would still click on a new meeting because you're setting up a new meeting, and so you land up inside your meeting room now. Okay, and one of the first things I often recommend to Zoom users is, when you go in, you won't see this on your current screen right now. I'll show you what you see in a minute, but is to reduce the size of your screen from a full screen to about a half a screen. Okay, you click on the top right hand corner and reduce it. The reason for that is once you start opening a list of participants and the chat page, if you haven't reduced it, these windows, the chat page windows, float around your screen, and you've got to move them out of your way so that you can see the screen and so on as a host. Okay, but if you reduce the size of your screen, they then lock onto the right-hand side of your meeting, and they then stay there and they're out of your way. So, but at the moment, if you look now on the top right-hand onto your screen, you will get something that looks like this, or with the word view, depending on which device you are using to watch your Zoom on. And but there will be something on the top right hand there so that you can select one of these where you only see the speaker, or you see a gallery of everybody who is attending. Okay, so you can then now have a choice of what to see.
Michael,
And yes,
what is this? I'm on an iPad, so this is not what I get.
No.
So what are you using?
Okay. If you're using a computer, a desktop, okay, or a
So
laptop,
this is a desktop.
this would be a desktop. Yeah. Okay. But
And I
on
think it's
different
important
devices,
for people to know that,
yeah, I
because it's not
agree.
what I'm looking, that's not what I've ever seen.
Yeah, it will every view, no matter what app you are using in social media, you will get different views depending on your app. Okay, so your device at least. So that's why I'm hesitant, and I said at the beginning of the class, you must be careful. The functionality will be there, but it may not look the same. Okay, so if you're using a Chromebook or a tablet or a phone, it's going to look different. Okay, and but you still have the functionality, and you've just got to search for that functionality. Okay, so you can reduce the picture to one picture, one video showing, if you just have whoever happens to be speaking at that moment, okay, or you have everybody. And if you've got a picture now that's sitting over something that you want to see, you can just use your finger and move that picture around on your screen, okay? You can bring it to the bottom, take it to the top, take it to the other side, and it's then, and experiment with it now. You see, it'll move around on, as far as I'm aware, on most devices. So that comes in handy when you are hosting. Okay. The other aspect, if you look at the bottom of your screen now, okay, you should have, depending if your software is up to date or not, you should have this word reactions at the bottom. Click on it now, and you will see different aspects like you see on my screen now. Okay, you'll see something like this, and if you've got it, experiment with it. Give me a thumbs up, and we can see. There we are.
If anybody is using an iPad, it's up at the top of your screen to the right.
Thank you very
much. And it
much.
says more, and it's got the 3 dots on it.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I need you as an extra co-host, Tony.
Yeah, an iPad co-host.
An iPad co-host. There we are. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, if you found these reactions, give me a thumbs up, or if you love me, give me a heart.
There you go.
And there we are. Okay. Love you too. Okay, so let's move on down. Use that in a meeting. It's fun, it's interacting. You've got clapping hands, and you've got hearts, and you've got a laughing face, and so on. And it's part of social media these days, is having these different icons to use, and yeah, so use them. Okay, it's also good for, as an attendee, you participating maybe in a quiet way, but somebody says something that you like, it could be another attendee, it could be the host, then you give them a clap or whatever you want to is appropriate. Okay, so use them, and use them in, not just in Zoom. You'd be hosting a Zoom meeting, encourage, you might be having a Bible class and you say something that's quite profound, then get your attendees to react. And all right, so now we move from that reactions button. If you click on the participants and you click on, well, let's first click on the participants, then a list of participants would come here. I should have taken a photograph where there were participants like today. But anyway, maybe Kim, you want to take a picture for me of the participants, and then I'll have a list of participants for future classes. That would be amazing. Okay, so also there's a setting you see down below at the bottom of the participants. it's a setting that you put. You can have these come off the reactions tab and put down here. But this is getting a little bit advanced, but it does allow you some sort of action. If the host asks a question, like, can you see the screen? You could just press yes, okay? And that comes in handy by having that setting, or just that setting ticked, so that you can do that. But now if you also click on the chat button, now you get the participants at the top and the chat at the bottom, okay? And now this is where I said to you, if you reduce the size of your screen, then it will lock itself onto the side of your room and not move around. Otherwise, these will be both of them will float separately on your screen if you have a full screen on, which you can, but it's just a tip that I think would be more appropriate. Right, and then to record, which Kim had to remind me that today to press the record button. And so I went to the record button and I pressed there, and it now gives you an option to record onto my computer or to the cloud, okay? And you have an account in the cloud. So you would click on record to the cloud, okay? As a host, you would have already opened up an account. And if you want to become a host, or you want to open an account, I'll show you towards the end of this class how to do that on zoom.us, okay? Then, of course, you all know now, because you've been doing it, you would unmute your microphone. The quickest and easiest way is just to hold down your space bar while you're talking. You push down your space bar and you're unmuted, you say what you want to say, and then you let go your space bar and it mutes itself again, okay? And otherwise you just do it on your device. And the video, you've all been starting and stopping your video now, so you know how to do that. And there's a line through it when the video is not on, and the same with the microphone, okay? And you can just touch it and turn it on, all right? Now, I want to show you how to invite people now as a host to meetings, okay? And that is this on the left, okay? I've shown you the participants already and how you click on that and it shows the list of the participants. And but now we're going to click on this invite, and you can also use this from your participants page too. You will see that you can invite from there, and you allow people to perhaps invite people to the meeting who are attending at the moment, okay? All right, so you click invite. You've got basically 3 options on invite, okay? And if you did click from the participants page, you would come to this page as well. So both bring you to this page. So first of all, as I mentioned right at the beginning, Zoom creates a unique URL, a unique web page for you to have your meeting on, okay? And it's secured, and you know, people can't easily just arrive, okay? Because they've got to have that link. So you send out a link with email, that's the first option. And the contacts, I would ignore contacts here because they would just be contacts that have already visited Zoom and on Zoom. They're not all your contacts. So you'd click on email. If you are using Gmail or Yahoo Mail or any of the other Outlook, then it would take you to your particular Gmail, let's call it, all right? And there would be an invitation already in the email that has been set up by Zoom. You just got to add the contacts who you are sending it to, like you would in any Gmail email. You add your contacts because it's now on your default email sending would come. You would have, if you say default, it will just default to the Zoom one that Zoom uses at the time, and but it will still have contact to your contacts. Okay. All right. So you could just email that, and other options would be on the bottom of your screen, on the left bottom of the screen. You can either copy an invite link or you can copy the invitation. Now, if we copy the invitation, what happens? You are, whatever was sent or perhaps was ready to be sent to an email with all the writing. Remember at the beginning of this class, I showed you an invitation, a personal one with what the meeting was about and so on. That invitation, you're now copying the entire invitation, and you can now paste it wherever you want to paste it. Okay, it can be in WhatsApp, it can be Messenger, it can be in Telegram, and if you're clever and you know how to do it, you could paste it into Facebook, but don't do that unless you know how to limit who gets to see it, okay, on Facebook. And GetSetUp does do Facebook classes, all right? So you would look to see for one of those classes. Then the other option is just copy the invite link. And so you would click on that, and you have now copied onto your device just the URL, the full URL. And as was said earlier in the class, that will get you straight into the class, okay? So you can now send that however you want to, okay? And if you do use a password, the password would not go with it, okay? You would only get the URL. You would have to add the password separately. And that's for security reasons, okay? So if you're using that aspect of just the URL, you would have to add the password separately. I repeat that because it's important, okay? But you may not be using a password, and that's then not an issue at all, okay? Remember at this one, and I showed you here, the room number was built in and the password was coded at the end. So when you send a URL, the password's there because it takes you straight in, but nobody can decipher it, okay? It's only when you send it separately that it becomes an issue, and there are the two that you would send separately, okay? All right, any questions to there before I show you how to share a screen?
I do have a question.
Yes.
What I'm confused about, because I've used this, you're already in the site. I enter the site. And when I get onto the site, I go to participants, and then I say send email or send message, invite contacts. And then I send my friends, I say at 10 o'clock, I say at 9:45, I'm going to send you an invitation. So be in front of your computer, because the problem is if I send it 2 days or 3 days or a week ago, they lose it. And so now you're ready for a meeting and they can't find the invitation. So I've gone to this, I go into the room and then I invite them 2 hours before or 2 minutes before the meeting, bing, it's there and they come in. So that's why I'm going with, well, why would I then copy an invite link? Why would I use anything else?
No, you don't. You see, I think what you would do, because if you've now warned them in advance and they've got your room ID number from a previous meeting, then they would just go to that join a meeting, which is the home page of the app, okay? Or they could do it online as well. They could also just go join a meeting online. And I'll show you at the end of the class.
Okay, okay.
On that, they would just join and put in the ID number. So yeah, I do that a lot as well, is let somebody know And
And frankly, we do a scheduled meeting. We're trying to, there's a group of us speaking Spanish, doing Spanish, learning Spanish. And so we'll go in and Zoom will allow us the 40 minutes. And then I go back in right away within, within minutes, I come back on and start our own meeting and send them an invite. And it takes us 2 minutes and we get another 30 minutes out of it.
yeah, that's true. I do the same too.
So do I.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, talking about sharing, shall we share a screen now? Okay.
Can you record? Only the host can record?
Yeah, there is a setting that you can allow attendees to record, but by default it's not on. Okay, and like here with Get Set Up classes, we record and you can't record. Okay, but when you are a host and you've got your own meetings, you can allow other people to record. Okay, any other questions? All right. Kim, are we doing all right with questions?
Yes, I don't see any questions
Okay,
on chat.
thanks. All right, so now we're going to share a screen while we're hosting a meeting, and we click on that share screen, the green box with an arrow going up. Now, that takes you to your own desktop, okay? And I'm showing you here, this white that you see is the desktop, your desktop that will come up. And whatever is open or minimized even on the desktop will show up here. So now you have an option of clicking on maybe that you've got a PowerPoint presentation and it would show PowerPoint, okay? Or you've opened a document and you would then be able to share any one of these, okay? If you want to share more than one, okay, now this is part of the detailed class, but I'll just, because I was asked that in my last introductory class, you would hold down Control and then click maybe 4. You could open up, each having maybe 25% of the screen. And but be that as it may, sharing a screen in the basics is you come to your desktop and you click. So it's always good when you're preparing for a meeting to actually open whatever document you want to share. Doesn't matter what it could be, a picture, it doesn't matter what it is, but then just minimize it on your desktop and it'll be there ready for you to go. There are ways in advance where you can actually go and select a file on your computer and so on, but let's not get confused at the moment until you're ready for the advanced class. So here you would click on what you want and you would then come down and click on share. Now you are sharing whatever you have selected to share, all right? And then it would be sharing. Now, how do you stop sharing? Okay, as a host, you've got this floating management toolbar that floats around your screen. You can move it anywhere you want to on the screen, but underneath it, it has the word in red, stop sharing, okay? And so you would then click stop sharing and you would then no longer be sharing, okay? Simple as that. But you can go back and click again and share something else. And now in our advanced class, we show you how to deal with a virtual background, okay? It is not necessarily a simple task, okay? That's why we deal with it in the advanced, because there are a lot of factors. Is your computer strong enough to hold a virtual background? Okay, that's an aspect, okay? Or you may need a green screen, okay? Okay? Depending again on the strength of your computer. But this is where you would find it. You would click on start, next to start a video, there's that up arrow. you can see I've clicked on the up arrow and you get this little window coming up, and then it says choose your background, and that would take you to choosing your background. All right. And as I say, we cover that in great detail in our advanced class, and I cover it in great detail in my tips and tricks of Zoom as well, Zoom tips and tricks, which is in 2 days' time. And you can come in. Now, only you see the security, only the host gets this up. It's not showing up on your device now, okay? But the host will get this security. And when you click on the security, because we often ask, what do we do with security, you know, and what security is there? And they're questions that we should be asking with every social media, okay? And certainly with Zoom and Skype and Meet, which is the Google's opposite of Zoom, or Google's equivalent is Meet in Google. So you now have options here. Let's just start at the top. You can at any point lock your meeting so that nobody else can come in. Okay, and you'd have reasons for doing that. That is, you know, for various reasons. It might be a director's meeting. Now the meeting starts. No newcomers, no latecomers can come in after you've locked the meeting. And here, remember, you can enable the waiting room. We've spoken about the waiting room. You would click on that. You could hide profile pictures that we see now and just have names come up and no pictures. You can allow participants now that, remember that it's your meeting, you're the host, okay? They can share a screen, they can chat, they can rename themselves as Jim did, okay? They can unmute themselves, okay? And they can start a video. And then you may land up with a very, very troublesome, maybe attendee that you can't deal with, and the assistant can't deal with them. We can suspend that participant from the meeting, okay? And we have had an instance where we've had people burst into the room from elsewhere, from out of the blue, and then, you know, you've got to deal with them as best you can and lock them out of the meeting. And that's why it always comes in very handy to have a TA like Kim in the meeting there, sort of covering your back on aspects like, you know, issues. Okay. Sorry, Nancy, you got your hand up. You want to say something?
Security? How do you get to the security? I don't see it on my thing.
No, I told you you won't see it. Okay. Only if you are a host can you see it.
Oh,
Okay. So you don't have this. You've got to, once you go in and start your own meeting, you then have this aspect waiting for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, let me just, I'm going to take you across to the clouds now, all right? And I've gone to zoom.us, okay? And this is what comes up. Now, if you do not have an account, okay, you will be up here where it says my account, okay, it will say create a free account at Zoom. And there it is down here now, sign up for a free account. It's flashing a screen, okay? That's what you would do. You would just click that and then sign up for a free account if you do not already have one, okay? Then I'm going to click on the top here on plans and pricing, because I promised I would earlier in the meeting. And here you get what you get on the free version. And then there are different paid versions as well. And you've got them listed, what you get and how much you pay annually for that aspect. So that's your choice. If you're going to use Zoom, you know, for all the time and for lots of issues, it's definitely worthwhile getting a paid for version. Okay. but you can also come here and see what the free version does. And so that's how you would set up. And then here I said I would show you, I think it was it you, Laura? You could join a meeting here. So if you've got a at least a room ID number, you can join, and you can also host your meetings here. So you then have those options, and I go through a little bit more detail in the cloud. But this is zoom.us, and this is where your account, this is where, if you store to the clouds, you'd find that your meetings are like here. Here you would find under your inside, you've got an account, you've got a desktop, okay, you've got a back office, and there it shows you your meetings, and you can see I've got other meetings today, and so forth. So the meetings are all here that you are still going to have. And from here, you can schedule a meeting like I showed you earlier. So you can do everything online. You don't need to do it on the app. But there are times where the app becomes really very handy. And also you will see here on the left bottom of the screen, Zoom does their own video tutorials. They're quite complex, and but they're here. So you can access, with an account, you can access their tutorials as well. Right, that brings us to the end of the class.
Excuse me, Michael. Shirley has her hand up, so maybe she has a question. Shirley, you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Well, one thing I want to share is that when Michael is putting up a slide, you can't see the participants. Like when I go to participants, it says view stream on custom live. So, I don't get the participants when you have your slide up. Then when you go back to our main room, then the participants come up.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, 2 people have raised hands. Okay.
Michael?
Yes. Who's talking?
Is getting started with Zoom the same thing as this class?
Sorry, I didn't hear any of that.
Started with Zoom. Is that the same thing as this class, or it's a different class?
They're different classes put on by Zoom.
No,
Okay.
but I'm asking him, is getting started beginning the same thing as this class?
Can somebody answer that? Because I still can't hear it.
Okay.
Basically the same.
Are you asking if this attending live training, is that your question?
My question is, I see that there's a Zoom getting started at the beginning. Is that the same thing as a Zoom basis?
Where are you seeing that
I
statement?
saw it on the thing on the schedule.
Yes, I saw it. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me, ma'am? Yes, I saw it. It's the same class.
it's the same class. So why did
Yes,
we say it a different way?
I don't know that either. It had me confused too. But it's the same class. It teaches the same thing.
Okay.
It could be different guides, maybe. at the
Different
top,
teachers or something,
How
but
they
it's
post it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
same identical thing, ma'am.
It's different guides, and the other one is just showing people around how to use the buttons on their screen to get familiar with
I
it.
can't hear you.
Sorry. It's the same class, only it's getting people familiar with the buttons on the screen, like Michael's been showing you with the participants and chat and all that stuff. It's basically the same class, but not quite as intense.
Okay. Thanks, Jude. Okay. Yeah. So it's another guide. It's another class And each guide has their own way of presenting, but the content is roughly the same.
Okay, and in the image that you're showing us to the right, it says attending live training, video tutorials in Knowledgeable Base. And that's just a replica of what Zoom gives us. If we press on that, we go to a Zoom site, not to your site.
I would guess I
Correct.
know very little about the streaming. I don't know if Kim,
Yeah.
if you have can answer that about the live streaming.
I'm sorry, Laura, I was not getting it. What was your question?
It's not a question, it's more of a statement, My understanding is the image that he's showing us now to the left, it says attend live training. Is this an image from Zoom? Or is this an image from your site?
It's just on our site actually, since we're live streaming this class now, so you can see that. But if ever you'll do a live stream, you'll be able to see that too.
Yeah.
It's just on our end. It's not really the I hope that answers your question. I know this the statement that clarifies that.
Attend live training, video tutorials, and knowledge base. That is a Zoom introduction program.
That is correct.
From Zoom, yes.
Correct.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that because I was on the Zoom site before I came here and realized exactly that. And so
Yeah.
it gets confusing because you're giving me scheduling from this site on Zoom, right? The image that you have.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You know what? Michael is showing you these. These are his schedule, not the, because there are also other guides that has their own schedule on their classes. Now, what Michael is showing you is his schedule on Zoom, not the Get Set Up
Correct.
schedule. Really.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good.
Okay. I apologize for confusing you on that.
Is the same class though?
No.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. If you press on something on the left of his schedule, if he goes to Zoom and presses on this piece to the left, he would go to Zoom.
Okay.
He goes to a different website.
Yeah.
That's just the Zoom
Mm.
tutorials.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The bottom line, it's my private Zoom. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Right.
So, all right. Shirley, has your question been answered or not? I see you still got your hand up.
Sorry, I'll take it down.
Okay. And Allegra, what about you?
Yes, I have hand in. What is the difference between Zoom and then I see on the front of my apps, it has DUO with a camera to it? On Google? DUO or DOU?
Oh, the equivalent, yeah. The equivalent on Zoom, on Google, sorry, is Google Meet. Okay, that is the equivalent, let's say, to Zoom. Okay, is Google Meet.
Oh.
So I go into DUM and it says Google Meet.
Yeah, you go to Meet, then that's a whole different aspect. It's not a part of today's.
Okay, that's what I wondered. I was lost, so I just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. I'm in your right place.
Okay, no, that's good.
I don't want the green button, I want this button.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any very last more questions?
Michael, I have a question.
Yeah.
I saw on the right side of the screen, I think something that said templates. Can you just give us a brief a summary of what that is and how that works?
Sorry, I did not. Did anybody? I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Yeah, he asked about templates.
Templates.
Yes.
Templates?
Templates.
Templates for what?
Know about
Sorry?
templates.
Templates for what? Zoom doesn't have templates. Okay.
Yeah, you have
Uh,
templates on your screen. It was shown on one of your screens, templates.
Yes.
I don't know. Kim, can throw any light on that? Or Jude, can you throw any light on that?
Can you go back?
Yeah, go back to your other slides, Michael, so we can see last 2 or 3.
Michael, they were seeing what your private screen had on it. That's all it is. It had nothing to do with the class. It was just,
okay.
Just private screen.
he was sharing his screen, so that's why there were templates there.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I see what a template looks like?
No. Okay, so that was just on the private. It's not something that's part of Zoom. Okay. Edmund, is that do you understand that?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, I've probably time if there are no more questions to I'll stop sharing, but I'll still take any last minute questions that you might have.
One more question. Do they shut you off at a certain time, or do you have, I mean, because we are going past time.
Yeah. No, they don't. Okay. You know, each person in Zoom has their own unique room. So I have my own unique room. And
Wow.
so yes, the next
Okay.
class has started. So yeah, a number of classes have started on the hour, but
Right, because as you know, for the non-paying, when your time is up, you can be mid-sentence and it's up, boom, gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, so I have learned to keep a watch of it, and then 1 minute before it shuts me off, I tell everybody, you know, our time is up. Let's say goodbye so we don't catch you in the middle of the sentence.
But then all you have to do is go back into it again.
That's correct. That's what I had
Do
mentioned
another 40
before.
minutes.
But
Yeah.
still, it's upsetting to be in the middle of the sentence and have it shut off.
But no, I don't like saying goodbye, so we can carry on talking, you know.
Thank
I
you,
got another
Michael.
class, so I gotta
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah, no, I must also. Anyway, great meeting
Thank you
all.
very much, Michael.
Thank
You've been
you.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye to
you.
everybody. I hope
Bye.
to see you all again
Thank you,
soon.
Michael.
See you
I hope to see
soon.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
One time